StudyIQ IAS, अब तैयारी हुई अफोर्डेबल।
Hello, Namaskar, Namaskara, Namaskaram, Namaskar. My name is Pooja Devidi. Welcome to this really interesting daily current affairs class for the UPSC Prelims examination. You must be finding Prelims really lethargic and boring, and you do not want to solve MCQs, but worry not, I am here to help you in developing the skill for the MCQs for Prelims. Prelims is now more skill oriented. Of course, that skill has to be developed over knowledge base and conceptual clarity. I'm here to help you through that only. The last 24 hours have been eventful, and I have covered all the important news for your examination in today's class. Before I begin, I would like to tell you that please do not make any sort of notes in this class. Why? Because I provide you the PDF on my Telegram channel. But this does not make the class futile, because once you attend the class, after that only you will be able to understand the PDF. And also, we know we just accumulate a lot of PDFs, but we never access them appropriately. So make sure you attend this class on a daily basis. Other than this, if you have any doubts regarding whatever I teach or the UPSC examination, you can contact me on my Instagram channel as well. The Telegram channel's link is Pooja Devedi Study IQ, of course, using these abbreviations. Okay, now let's move on and talk about the various events that we need to cover in today's class. With respect to the National Multidimensional Poverty Index of 2023, I'm talking about the national one, not the global. So remember that. Consider the following statements. It is based on the data of the International Multidimensional Poverty Index. It is regularly published by Oxfam National. It is based on the Alkire-Foster methodology, and Uttar Pradesh has registered the steepest decline in the number of poor, followed by Tamil Nadu and Rajasthan. So what do we have to see? We have to see how many statements given above is or are not correct. See, this National Multidimensional Poverty Index has come after the Global Multidimensional Poverty Index. What is multidimensional poverty? That you are poor not only in one dimension, but all the other important indicators that you are leading a healthy and happy life. So this is multidimensional poverty. When if you are not just poor in one dimension, but other dimensions as well. So the first statement, it is based on the data of International Multidimensional Poverty Index, is incorrect, because it is actually based on the National Family Health Survey. And when we compare the NFHS 5 from NFHS 4, we could derive at a data which was curated with the help of Alkire-Foster methodology. Okay. This particular National Multidimensional Poverty Index as well as the global one, both these indices use the Alkire-Foster methodology, which is a flexible methodology. The technique can be used in many ways. Okay, so first statement on that matter has become incorrect, but third is definitely correct. And it is the second edition, the current one. It has been published by Niti Aayog and not Oxfam National. This is also incorrect. So first is incorrect. Second is incorrect, third is correct. Uttar Pradesh, yes, has registered the steepest decline in the number of poor. Uttar Pradesh is doing good, but it is followed by Bihar and not Tamil Nadu and Rajasthan. So first is incorrect, second is incorrect, fourth is also incorrect, only third is correct. Not correct ones we have to see, right? 3 only will be the correct answer. Now before I begin with the explanation, I have introduced a new class on the StudyIQ IAS English channel, that is the Map in News class. So if you are really wanting a class that is going to strengthen your basics in map, do watch the class 1 and the class 2 that is available on the playlist of the StudyIQ IAS English. Okay, let's move on. See, explanation of course has told us that Niti Aayog's National Multidimensional Poverty Index, this is the second edition, and this is named as National Multidimensional Poverty Index, a progress review of 2023. This has given us certain highlights that we need to cover today. It has said that a record 13.5 crore people have moved out of the multidimensional poverty. On all 12 indicators, we have done very well. And we have compared the data of 2015-16 and 2019-21. This was the NFHS 4 data of the corresponding period and NFHS 5 data of the corresponding period. And it builds on the baseline report of India's National MPI, which was launched in November 2021. Remember that. And this methodology that is employed by not only the global one but also the National Multidimensional Poverty Index is based on the Alkire-Foster methodology. This methodology was developed by Dr. Sabina Alkire and Professor James Foster. Okay, so these two people developed another sort of index, that poverty should not just be the wealth that we accumulate, but other sort of access that we have or not. Access to health, access to sanitation and clean water, schooling, years of schooling. So these are the many dimensions which they covered. Also, it is a flexible technique for measuring both poverty as well as well-being. Even if you are a little bit above the BPL line, are you accessing indicators enough that you are having a welfare also? Also, it can incorporate different dimensions, not only one, but different dimensions and indicators to create measures adapted to significant context. That is why it is flexible in nature. Depending on the context, it can accumulate or accommodate different sort of indicators. And India, when it talks about National Multidimensional Poverty Index, we have 12 indicators across 3 dimensions. In health, we have what kind of nutrition we are getting, what kind of child and adolescent mortality we are observing, what kind of maternal health we are observing. So these are the indicators when it comes to the dimension health. Then the next dimension is education, in which 2 indicators are there. First, years of schooling, and then school attendance. Even if I am going to the school for my entire time period in which I must go to the school, but my attendance is not good, that can also hamper my well-being. Okay, then standard of living. Here we have the most number of indicators: cooking fuel, sanitation, drinking water, housing, electricity, assets, and then bank account. All the indicators, all the dimensions, I must say, have been given equal weightage, like 1/3, 1/3, and 1/3. But when it comes to the indicators, different weightage are provided, different sorts of weightage are provided to each and every indicator. Okay, that means the government, which has introduced so many schemes in different areas, here we are doing pretty well. Okay, now let's talk about the states. UP, Bihar, MP, Odisha, and Rajasthan. They recorded the steepest decline in number of MPI poor. That means they have taken out the maximum number of poor from above, below the poverty line, above the poverty line. As well as India is on a track to achieve Sustainable Development Goal Target 1.2, which is reducing multi-dimensional poverty by at least half, much ahead of 2030. This is the line threshold, that by 2030, according to the SDG 1.2, we have to reduce the multi-dimensional poverty by half. Remember that. Okay, in all 12 indicators we have shown improvement. Moving on, this NFH's 5th one is showing the different states which and union territories which have registered a good score and a bad score. So the score which is red is the highest in multidimensional poverty index. The greener the region, the lower score it has. That means areas such as these South India specifically, they have scores which are lower than mostly North India and Central India and West India. Okay, even as you see that here Northeast states are doing pretty well now. Moving on, consider the following countries: Argentina, European Union, Russia, Australia, Canada. So we have to arrange the above mentioned countries in the correct order when it comes to the export of wheat from the highest to the lowest. In simple terms, the country that exports the largest number of wheat or highest export of wheat is considered for that country, then that country will be at the top, followed by different other countries. Okay, so here the explanation is that Russia has pulled out of the wartime grain deal, that is the Black Sea grain deal. That is why this question has been asked. See, Russia is at the expense of Ukraine, is at the top when it comes to the wheat exports. Then after that we have the European Union, that is followed by Canada, then we have Australia, and finally we have Argentina. So 32541 will be the correct answer. This is the latest data, 32541. Okay, option B is correct. And this treaty, Black Sea Grain Deal, this was mediated by the UN and Turkey. And this is a pact that not only allowed the safe export of grain from the Black Sea, but also oil and fertilizer, in order to ensure that food security remains intact in African regions. So that is why this grain deal has been important. But Russia extended it twice, but now it has withdrawn, saying that our own agriculture products are not being able to be transported because of all the sanctions that the West has slapped on us. Why should we let this deal prosper? So this is the biggest thing. So this Black Sea grain deal is a wartime deal. That means it was initiated after the war on July 22nd, 2022 by the mediation of the United Nations and Turkey. This particular deal came into existence. This would allow cargo ships to travel from 3 ports of Ukraine, that is Odessa, Chornomorsk and Yuzhny, to Istanbul. And this could cover 310 nautical miles in the Black Sea. But we have to keep in mind what? That Black Sea is one of the regions that has been mostly contested between Russia and Ukraine when it comes to this particular transport of grains, oil, fertilizer. And right now, Russia is not happy with the way things are working, specifically after the NATO summit. So this might be a manifestation of that. But also keep another thing in mind, that these cargo ships, once they are checked, if they are carrying any arms, they won't be allowed. Okay, and the deal was extended twice. And these are the different routes from Ukraine through the Black Sea. When the grain used to be exported to Turkey, it used to go to many regions. Okay, even in, you can say, North African region, South Asia, Europe. So let's see what happens now. As India also banned the exports of wheat, and that can also be very concerning. But recently, India approved wheat and broken rice export to 4 countries on the request of 4 countries such as Senegal, Indonesia, Bhutan. Okay, moving on. See, Russia's wheat exports are expected to touch a new high of 47.5 metric ton in 2023-24, which is followed by the European Union, Canada, Australia, Argentina. Now, this will also impact the recent withdrawing of the Russia from the Black Sea Grain Initiative. Ukraine's exports have fell from 21 MT in 2019-20 to 16.8 in 2022-23. And both Russia and Ukraine used to exploit the Black Sea region in order to transport and export wheat. So this is showing, this particular graph is showing us how Russia used to export to Egypt, but later on Ukraine also started to challenge Russia when it comes to Egypt. And this is why the influence was actually decreasing. Russia wasn't happy with this, that Ukraine is continuing to prosper under this particular deal, but I am not able to do so. Okay, let's move on. See, we have launched our P2I batches, as in earlier 2 batches have been launched. This particular batch is the most important batch. If you like the way we teach here on the StudyIQ platform, please trust us enough to take admission into our P2I batches if you are going for UPSC 2024. Not only you will be provided classes in a dedicated manner, the evening batch 6 p.m. onwards from 22nd of July, but you will also get study material at your doorstep. You will also be able to access prelims test series, mains test series, daily current affairs program along with the modules that are provided in PDF format, and very importantly, a mains residential program for those students who are going to qualify prelims 2024. You will be called to the StudyIQ campus to study at the StudyIQ campus in order to crack the mains examination. After that, we have an arduous program of interview as well. If you have any queries regarding this particular batch, you can directly talk to me on my Instagram. I will clear all your doubts, and there is nothing to worry about if you invest in us, because we provide quality education at an accessible rate. Okay, and this fee actually it is for 70,000 for English and Hindi. We have 3 separate batches We want to ensure that we reach the maximum number of students so that they don't lag behind in this particular examination. And this code PD Live will ensure that you get the discount, a high discount, and the price will become just 29,999 only. So I request you that if you're going for UPSC examination 2024, do join us. Alright, moving on. With respect to India and Argentina relations, consider the following statements. The informal relations was established or were established way back in 1924 when Mahatma Gandhi visited Argentina. The India-Argentina bilateral trade registered a historic peak of 6.4 billion US dollars in the year 2022. So, which of the statements given above is or are not correct? Okay, so we have to see that India's and Argentina's relationship. Sometimes students even forget about Argentina. Argentina is a very important country for India. Do not forget that. Even so much important that the defense minister of Argentina, Jorge Enrique Tiana, has arrived in New Delhi yesterday on a visit so that they can finalize some defense agreements. So the informal relations between our country and Argentina, informal, not formal, informal, started way back when Rabindranath Tagore visited Argentina in the year 1924. Okay, so first statement is incorrect, but we have to understand our bilateral trade is really good. So India and Argentina bilateral trade has risen to a record peak of 6.4 billion US dollars as of 2022. So only the second is correct, first is not correct. We had to select the not correct one. Option A will be the correct answer. See, here is India and here is Argentina, a very important country in South America. So the informal relations, 1924. Rabindranath Tagore, when he was visiting Argentina, he was hosted by Argentine writer Victoria Ocampo. Okay, Victoria Ocampo and Rabindranath Tagore. And under the inspiration only, he penned a series of poems under the title Purabi. Okay, remember that this is a good preliminary fact. Also, Argentina had established a consulate in Calcutta in the 1920s. After that, colonial India opened the Trade Commission in Buenos Aires in 1943, which was turned into a full-fledged embassy in 1949, and hence we formalized our relationship. And high-level visits were also there. From Argentina, we hosted President Arturo Frondizi, President Reinaldo Pignon, then that was for NAM Summit in 1983. President Raul Alfonsin came to India in 1985 to be the chief guest of the Republic Day Parade. Remember that. So, from India, Prime Minister Gandhi went in 1968. President Zail Singh went to Argentina in 1984. P.V. Narasimha Rao, the Prime Minister of then, 1995, he went to Argentina. Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited Argentina for the G7 Summit in 2018. So the India-Argentina bilateral trade has registered a historic peak of 6.4 billion US dollars in the year 2022, which is a growth of 12% if we compare it by the year 2021. See, Argentina has imported worth 4.55 billion US dollars. That means this much worth of imports by India from Argentina. India has imported it, not Argentina. India has imported, and we have exported 1.84 billion worth merchandise and the rest of the things. India continued to retain its status of the fourth largest trading partner of Argentina. Remember that, okay? So I also cover specifically very important news related to the current affairs on the StudyIQ IAS English channel. If you want to watch important events, important concepts, such as the India's visit to France recently, you can tune into that as well. Next, the national policy on narcotic drugs and psychotropic substances is based on which of the following articles of the Indian Constitution? Article 23, Article 42, Article 47, Article 51B. The correct answer is Article 47, which is a directive principle of state policy, which directs the state to curb the use of narcotics if they are not for medicinal purposes. Alright, so option C is correct. India and its youth should become drug free before 1940, before the centenary, that is 2047. From 1947 to 2047, this is the time year in which we have to ensure that India and the youth both become drug free. This was said by the Home Minister of India when he was chairing yesterday drug trafficking and national security. In his presence only, more than 1.40 lakh kilogram of narcotics, which value 2,378 crore rupees, these were destroyed, and this has been the largest one-time destruction of narcotics. Okay, Narcotics Control Bureau did that in coordination with the anti-narcotics task force of all the states. So the national policy on narcotics, drugs and psychotropic substances is based on the directive principle, Article 47, which says that states shall endeavor to bring about prohibition of the consumption except for medicinal purposes. So this, if any drug is being used for medicinal purposes, then it is okay, of intoxicating drugs which are injurious to health. And India is also a signatory to the Single Convention on Narcotic Drugs of 1961, which was amended by the 1972 protocol. India has also signed the Convention on Psychotropic Substances 1971, the United Nations Convention Against Illicit Traffic in Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances of 1988. The three important acts through which India works when it comes to the curbing of the narcotics are Drugs and Cosmetics Act of 1940, the Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act of 1985, the Prevention of Illicit Traffic in Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act of 1988. See, very importantly, we have to remember that the Ministry of Finance's Department of Revenue is the nodal coordination as the administrator of two acts, the Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act of 1985 and the Prevention of Illicit Traffic in Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act of 1988. So this could be asked in your preliminary examination. Other than Ministry of Home Affairs, which other ministry is responsible for these two particular acts as an administrator? Remember that. And the Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act was legislated in the year 1985. It said that the central government has all the responsibility with respect to curbing narcotics. So, a body should be constituted in order to exercise the power of the central government in that sphere. So, that gave birth to the Narcotics Control Bureau on the 17th of March 1986 under the Ministry of Home Affairs. And it works through the Director General. Then he works through the Deputy Director General of different offices. Next, about 2.1% of the India's population is prone to abusing drugs such as opioids, heroin and pharmaceutical opioids as well. About 2.8% of the Indians who are in the age of 10 to 75, they were consumers of cannabis. That's really bad. Around 15.8 million children who are aged between 10 and 17, they were prone to using cannabis, heroin and opium, which are the most commonly used drugs in India. India's position in the geographical sphere is such that it lies between the Golden Crescent and the Golden Triangle, which these two regions are very well versed and equipped with smuggling drugs. So Golden Crescent consists of Iran, Afghanistan and Pakistan. Golden Triangle consists of the countries of Vietnam, Laos and Burma and Thailand as well. So these two regions, they smuggle drugs into the country, that is India. Alright, moving on. We have to consider the pairs and we have to match the sectors in BIMSTEC and to which country it has been allotted. So environment, climate change has been allotted to Nepal. Security has been allotted to India. Also connectivity has been given to Thailand, and science and technology and innovation has been given to Sri Lanka. These sectors were specifically created for better coordination in the year 2021. So what do we have to see? How many pairs are correctly matched, are correctly matched. Environment and climate change is a sector that has been given to Bhutan. Nepal has been allotted people-to-people contact. Security has been given to us, India. Connectivity has been given to Thailand, and science, technology and innovation has been allotted to Sri Lanka. So 2, 3, 4, these three are correct but not the first. So 3 only will be the correct answer. Recently, as the co-chair of Mekong Ganga Cooperation, Dr. S. Jaishankar has said in a tweet that food, health and energy securities are the common problems in the BIMSTEC countries. BIMSTEC is a regional organization consisting of important members, important countries of South Asia and Southeast Asia, India, Nepal, Bhutan, Myanmar, Bangladesh, Thailand, Sri Lanka. Okay, these countries are responsible for 22% of the world's population. They also have a combined GDP of $2.7 trillion. One-fourth of the world's traded goods cross this area, and 6 focus areas we have. These 6 focus or key areas are trade, technology, energy, transport, tourism and fisheries, and it was expanded in the year 2008. I will tell you about those areas as well. So, this grouping was given birth by the Bangkok Declaration on 6th of June 1997, and this came into existence as BIST-EC, that is Bangladesh, India, Sri Lanka, Thailand Economic Cooperation. When Myanmar joined it in 1997, Bhutan and Nepal joined it in 2004. Then it became BIMSTEC. Sometimes it can also happen that prelims will ask you questions about when these countries joined. I mean the founding members. They can ask you directly about the founding members of BIMSTEC, and then of course which countries joined at a later phase. So Myanmar wasn't a founder member, but it joined in the same year, and Bhutan and Nepal, they joined in February 2004. So third BIMSTEC summit in 2014 occurred, and it gave birth to the secretariat at Dhaka. And 6 sectors were already given, but we expanded it to more sectors in 2008. Agriculture, public health, poverty alleviation, counter-terrorism is also a part, and environment. Sometimes UPSC prelims can ask you about the extended sectors as well, so you do remember them. And as I told you that different sectors have been given. To Bangladesh, we have given BIMSTEC as in trade, investment and development. Subsector is blue economy. Subsector can also be asked. So Bangladesh, because it is having a good coastline with the Bay of Bengal, so blue economy. Bhutan has been given environment and climate change. Subsector is mountain economy because it being a mountainous state. India has been given security. Subsectors are counter-terrorism and transnational crime, disaster management, energy. Myanmar has been given agriculture and food security. Subsectors also include agriculture, fisheries and livestock. Nepal has been given people-to-people contact. Subsectors include culture, tourism, poverty alleviation and people-to-people contact as well. Sri Lanka has been given science, technology and innovation. The subsectors include technology, health, human resource development, and Thailand has been given connectivity. Moving on. With respect to the Mekong-Ganga cooperation, consider the following statements. It was formed in 2004. It consists of 6 members from the ASEAN along with India, and the grouping was initially called Ganga Swarna Bhumi program. So what do we have to see? How many of the statements given above is or are correct? First statement is definitely incorrect because it came into existence in the year 2000. It consists of 6 countries, and this is incorrect in the sense that it is written 6 members from ASEAN. See, it consists of 6 countries, 5 from ASEAN and 1 is India. But if you are nervous enough in this examination, you can mark this answer correct because you might not read this statement carefully. It might look to you that it is talking about it has total number of 6 countries, and that it has, but 5 are from ASEAN. Here it is written 6 members from ASEAN. So this is how UPSC tricks us. 5 from ASEAN and 1 is India. And the grouping was, yes, initially known as Ganga Swarna Bhumi program. So first is incorrect, second is incorrect, third is correct. Only 1 will be correct. So the External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar co-chaired the Mekong-Ganga Cooperation. This is the 12th edition of it in Bangkok, Thailand yesterday, along with Lao PDR counterpart Solomé Komasit. And this happens every year. That means 1 member will chair from the ASEAN along with India. And they have talked about that let's implement the India, Myanmar, Thailand trilateral highway, of which 70% of the work has been completed. It will of course go through this way from Manipur, specifically Moreh region, to Mae Sot of Thailand. And we have to ensure that we develop this region as quickly as possible in order to enhance trade relations and people-to-people contact. A Mekong-Ganga Cooperation Business Council has also been formulated. This is an initiative by 6 countries, India plus 5 ASEAN countries. These 5 ASEAN countries are Cambodia, okay, so Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar is also a part of ASEAN. Let's talk about the 10 countries first. Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, Brunei Darussalam, Philippines and Vietnam. But all 10 members are not part of the Mekong-Ganga cooperation. Mekong passes through, very importantly, 5 important countries from ASEAN. Those countries have been included. So that makes us go back to Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, Thailand and Vietnam. The regions of cooperation include tourism, culture, education, transport and communication, and it was launched in the year 2000 in Vientiane, Laos. Through the Vientiane Declaration, it was initially called the Ganga Swarna Bhumi program. The meetings are co-chaired alternatively between India and one member from the ASEAN. Right now we have the chair, Laos. Okay, and of course 4 broad areas of cooperation: tourism, culture, education, transport and communication. And this is the Mekong River, which is rising from Tibet region of China, going through many important countries of Southeast Asia. And that is why, because this river has been a civilizational river, like the Ganga River, Mekong-Ganga cooperation has been formulated. Consider the following statements. High pressure results in sinking air, and when air sinks, it warms, causing temperature to rise. Sinking air will always create a heat dome effect. Right now we are witnessing heat dome in the USA. This incident has increased because of the rise in climate change, rise in temperatures due to climate change. And a dome has been created. That means it is like a lid, like this area, a lid has been created. The warm air increasing the temperature will remain here for a long period of time. When that happens, it is known as a heat dome. So yes, high pressure, when there is a high pressure, it results in sinking of the air. And when the air sinks, when the air is coming down, it gets warmer. And when the air, that warmed air cannot escape that region, it is known as heat dome. So yes, this is correct. But sinking air will always not create heat domes. Second statement is incorrect. So statement 1 is correct, but statement 2 is not correct. A heat dome is temporarily expanding across the southern United States, making the regions hotter and hotter, sweltering temperatures day by day. And as you can see, what happens in the summers, that the jet stream, it shifts northward. When the hot and stagnant air expands upwards, the strong high pressure atmospheric conditions are such that they are also relating to La Nina effect. When that happens, the process which is known as convection, it creates the rising of the air, but because it cannot escape that lid, it comes down, and when it remains there for a longer period of time, this is the heat dome effect. Okay. Locations with a lot of land and relatively dry air, in areas like plains and deserts, they are going to witness heat dome effect. And because the planet is warming at an unprecedented rate, we are seeing that heat dome effect is increasing. Conversations with Myself, a very renowned book, has been authored by Nelson Mandela, Michelle Obama, Naomi Campbell, Martin Luther King. The correct answer is option A, that is Nelson Mandela. Today is Mandela Day, and every year on July 18th we celebrate it because it marks the birth anniversary of the great legendary Nelson Mandela, who gave his life fighting against apartheid. So in November 2009, it was decided by the UNGA that July 18 will be celebrated as Nelson Mandela International Day because of his contribution in the culture of peace and freedom. In 2010, this day was celebrated for the first time ever. In 2008, Mandela made a speech to the youth that whatever injustice will take place, it has to be curbed by you. It is in your own hands now. Okay, he wanted to say that. So this year the theme is the legacy lives on through you, climate, food and solidarity. And every year on this day, 67 minutes are allotted by people to do a humanitarian task, so that each minute goes as a tribute to Nelson Mandela. So these are the many books that Nelson Mandela has wrote. So you will find it in the PDF, and any kind of question could be asked from which book has been written by which legendary icon of history. Okay, so I hope you understood these topics well, and I will see you soon at the same time. Thank you.
StudyIQ IAS. अब तैयारी हुई अफोर्डेबल।